I was 6 years old the first time I stepped into an English classroom. At that age, I was still learning to read and write in Portuguese, my own language. English? It was just another after-school activity, another class my grandmother signed me up for, like ballet, swimming, or music lessons. I didn't question it. I simply went, week after week, year after year. At first, I didn't even realize why I was learning it. English wasn't a part of my world. No one around me spoke English. To me, it was just a subject in a book, a collection of strange sounds and unfamiliar words. But I never complained. My grandmother wanted me to go, so I went. It was that simple. But then adolescence arrived and everything changed. Welcome back to English Vibes TV and get ready to hear my story. Teenagers are stubborn, and I was no different. At some point, I decided I had enough of English. I didn't see the point in it. Why was I spending so many hours studying something I never used in real life? I wasn't planning to live abroad. I wasn't dreaming of speaking to foreigners. To me, English was just a school subject, nothing more. So I wanted out. But how do you convince your family to let you quit something they see as important? Simple. You fail. On purpose. That was my plan. I figured if I failed my English course, maybe, just maybe, my grandmother would let me quit. So I did it. I stopped trying. I ignored my studies. I deliberately got bad grades. But instead of setting me free, my plan backfired. Instead of letting me quit, my granny made me repeat the entire semester. I was stuck, trapped in the same class, relearning things I already knew. I had tried to escape, and instead, I was right back where I started. So I did the only thing I could do. I finished the course. By the time I was 16, I had my English diploma in hand. And by 17, I had even started proficiency level classes. But life was pulling me in a different direction. It was time for my next challenge, university. The dream was simple. I wanted to be a lawyer. In Brazil, getting into law school requires passing the vestibular, a university entrance exam similar to the SATs in the US. I studied, I prepared, and I didn't pass. It was a crushing moment, a defining one. My mother saw my frustration and invited me to move in with her to Brasília for a year, to take a break, to figure things out, and I agreed. But life had other plans. I returned home for vacation and met him, the person who would change my life forever. We started dating, and soon after, I found out I was pregnant with my first child. It wasn't the plan. It wasn't what I had expected, but my dream of studying law, that part of me, hadn't disappeared. So, despite everything, despite being a new mother, despite being a new wife, despite the sleepless nights and the overwhelming responsibility, I kept studying. I spent 1.5 years studying political science, still determined to get into law school. And finally, after so many setbacks, after so much waiting, I did it. I passed the entrance exam. And the moment I stepped into my first law class, I found out I was pregnant again. Most people would have given up. Pregnancy and law school? It's not an easy combination, but I refuse to let it stop me. I endured morning sickness in class. I carried my growing belly to lectures, studied through exhaustion, and reminded myself daily why I was doing this. Not just for me, but for my children, for my family. I wasn't just a student anymore. I was a mother, and that made me fight even harder. After 3.5 years, I graduated law school. I took the OAB exam, the Brazilian equivalent to the bar exam in the US. And then, finally, I became a lawyer. But something wasn't right. I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. I thought I wanted to work in the legal field. But as I started my career, a new idea crept into my mind. What if I become a judge? In Brazil, becoming a judge means years of intense study and competitive exams. It's a full-time commitment. No distractions, no excuses. It's your job. So I dove in. For years, I became a full-time student again, traveling across Brazil, taking exams, pushing myself to the limit. But the more I studied, the more I felt something wasn't quite right. I had spent my entire life chasing one goal. But what if it wasn't my real purpose? It was 2014. My kids were now students at an English language school. And one day, out of nowhere, the school's coordinator approached me. A teacher had to leave suddenly, and they needed a replacement. And she was like, "Would you like to teach English?" And I was, "Me? Teach English?" I had never thought about that, never considered it as a career, but something in me said, "Yes, you can do it, go." And the moment I stepped into that classroom, I felt something I'd never felt before. Passion, purpose, a calling. I started taking on more classes, and with each passing day, I feel more in love with teaching. For the first time in my life, I wasn't doing something because I had to. I was doing something because I loved it. Years later, I returned to the university, not for law, but for linguistics. I spent 4 years studying English in depth. I moved from language schools to bilingual private schools. And after 5 years of teaching, I took one final step. I applied for a position as an English teacher in the public school system. And I got it. Today, I am exactly where I meant to be, a teacher. Not a lawyer, not a judge, not someone trapped in a career that didn't fulfill them. I teach English. I inspire students, and I wake up every day knowing I'm making a difference. Looking back, I realized something important. Sometimes we don't find our purpose. It finds us. I spent years chasing a dream that wasn't really mine, and when I finally let go, when I embraced something new, I found the thing that truly made me happy. Maybe that's the lesson here. Life has a funny way of leading us exactly where we need to be, even if we don't realize it at first. So, if you ever feel lost, if you ever feel like you don't know what you were doing, what your purpose is, just keep moving forward, because one day will step into the right place at the right time, and everything will finally make sense. So if you watch it till here, thank you very much to listen to my story. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share the story. And tell me in the comments, have you ever experienced a moment where life led you in a completely unexpected direction? I'd love to hear your story. See you next time, guys. Bye.